Thanks for listening in on this episode of Always Forward, the official podcast of Mossy Creek Fitness. This community exists for everyone. What unites us is a passion to improve ourselves in order to impact the world. If you enjoy this podcast or found it helpful, please leave us a rating and take some time to share it with a friend.
Welcome back to the Always Forward podcast. Today, I'm here with Jamison, and we're talking about a philosophy, a mantra, a style of living that we have adopted here at the gym and trying to help others gain new perspective and new traction towards their goals. So, Jamison, kind of how did this come about and why is this important?
Traction is a philosophy, a methodology that we have, I think, talked about for really since as long as we've been a gym. I don't know that we could really put it into words the way we wanted to do things differently here. But I think as we've really kept leaning into the fact we want to be different than most, just standard gyms, not just in order to be different, but in order to accomplish things that it seems those gyms often fail to accomplish, which is helping people actually change their lives or make progress. So it's been a part of the conversation all along. I think we've just in the last maybe year or so, or even less, started to figure out how to put it into words, communicate it to members, communicate it to coaches. Coaches start to grasp this concept of CrossFit in general, but also very specifically what we do in the gym, being CrossFit and coaching CrossFit is a lifestyle, not just a trend. It's not just a health methodology or a fitness methodology. It is truly something that we believe integrates itself into every part of your life, because progress in one area helps compel or motivate or breed progress in other areas. All of that, I guess, to say, like, traction is this concept of making progress towards a better, healthier version of yourself in each of the 5 factors of health that we measure, meaning how you eat, how you sleep, how you train, how you think, and how you connect. Traction is about actually getting closer to the version of yourself that you want to be, that you hope to be, and taking these big goals and distilling them down into daily habits. So you want to change your life. Awesome. How, in what ways? Let's get specific with that. But when it comes to setting goals, sometimes they can be specific, but other times, man, they're ambiguous, and it's just, I want to feel better. I want to be more confident. I want to believe in myself, or, things along those lines. And so to me, the need for this, like, putting some kind of definition around the method of how to do that is where traction came from. So rather than just having vision for the life you want to live, how do we gain traction and distill that vision into daily habits that help you move towards that vision constantly? I think when I think about the need for traction, I just think, man, people are exhausted. I see people come in all the time into the gym, and they're exhausted by setting goals for themselves that, if they're honest, they're not actually doing anything to reach. Because they're ill-equipped, or they don't know how, or they don't have the right help, or they believe they want to change A, B, C, and D. They want to change how they eat, sleep, train, think, and connect, but they're ill-equipped to do so. And they come out hot to do so. They get really aggressive at the desire to change and then burn out, rather than distilling that desire to change into really manageable daily habits that allow you to just constantly chip away and make progress. And then all of a sudden you look back and go, oh, wow, look how far I've come by focusing on the day to day. So honestly, traction is, yes, about helping people gain progress towards their goals, but it's really the solution to people being able to trust themselves again. I think people don't set goals because they don't trust themselves to follow through. I think people are afraid of challenging themselves and trying new things because we have lost our own trust, because we know ourselves better than anybody. And I think we often realize how we fail ourselves at being who we know we want to be. And so traction is about being able to trust ourselves again, not do things perfectly, but actually make some actionable progress. It goes like, you know what? I am following through. I am doing this. So I don't know if that answers the question about like why traction.
Yeah, no, it does. So we'll do some object lessons here. So we'll say our cars. We'll say it's a '65 Mustang. Okay. Right? It's a
People
'65
like
Mustang. Fred Myers. It's
Yeah.
not a newer Mustang. It's an older Mustang. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's this Mustang. And what's happened a lot of times, right, is it rains. And in life, these storms come. And what's happened is that every time you've mashed on the gas, you spin out. Right? Your car isn't actually gaining traction because you're either over braking, you're oversteering, you're accelerating too fast, but your car cannot actually use the amount of downward force, right, vertical force, and to put that pressure down to be able to use it to take off, right? You just keep spinning out. So, I mean, I remember I've spun out before in a car, and I did not want to get back in the car the next time I wanted to get back in it, right? I was just kind of like, oh, it's raining, it's sleeting, I'm scared. I mean, that's kind of like a metaphor for kind of what you're talking about, right? Is like, I failed these, all these other times. What's going to be different about this time? So kind of like, can you walk me through, right? How do I gain traction then? Like how, if I'm ill-equipped and I don't know how to start setting up these healthy habits, how do I start gaining that traction?
Yeah, because I think to your metaphor, right, like you got a couple of options. If you're in a car and it's spinning out, like what are the reasons for that? One, your environment, right? Like you said, the storms, you're on unsolid in some way ground. We've all been in a wet yard and tried to pull out of it and gotten stuck, right? So it's either your environment that has you spinning your wheels. It is your approach to trying to get out of that environment. Like you said, like it's, you press too hard, you brake too much. So like another example of that would be like driving in the snow. Like you're always told don't slam on the brakes when you drive in the snow, right? And so
and what do you do every time? You slam on the brakes.
Right. So like, yeah, I think the whole car thing is the best metaphor, because gaining traction means no matter your environment, you're able to continue to move forward, because either you have learned to adapt, you've changed your environment, or you've learned to adapt to your environment, or you have given yourself the necessary tools within that environment, whether that be four-wheel drive for some environments, or like snow chains for some environments. Like you've equipped yourself with the necessary assets to respond appropriately whenever, like you said, the storms come or your environment changes. Because, that metaphor is struggle, tension, setbacks, failure, difficulty, obstacles, whatever. Like we all face those all the time. And so the necessity is, when that becomes your environment, how do you, like you said, not spin your wheels, but equip yourself with appropriate things and learn how to like respond appropriately in that. So I guess, yeah, I think that metaphor is right on. I think when it comes to the practicality of it, like the concept's pretty simple. Like find an area of your life where you're spinning your wheels, determine the direction you would like to go, and then come up with 3, 5, at most 7, but I'd say 7 is reaching. 3 to 5 like habitual, actionable, measurable things that you do daily that helps move you towards that. So rather than just saying, I want to change my health, going, okay, cool, that's the goal. You want to stop spinning your wheels in trying to change your health. So then how do we apply the snow chains to that? Okay, to change your health, what's it going to take? To stop feeling this way, what's it going to take? In all practicality, what are the 3 things in your control, or the 5 things in your control today that actually move you towards that. So like, it would be a pretty short podcast, but like, it's pretty simple, like, which I suppose is it's simple, but elegant. It's a good solution.
Yep.
So I don't know if like you want to just get specific with it, like case study.
What we'll do is let's pick one of the 5 factors of health, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can like pick what are some like actionable things that we can do
Mm-hmm.
for somebody. And let's kind of first before we do that, let's kind of talk, what do we do as a gym? So for people that don't know, right?
Yeah.
What do we do as a gym for traction?
Cool.
Because we have coaches set up to help with this, right? And people to kind of back you up. You're not doing this alone if you're doing that this here at our gym. So kind of like, what is that process?
Yeah. So it's new. I mean, this has kind of been like a methodology and development for the last year. And then it was actually Brooklyn's idea to run like a specific challenge. One of our coaches' ideas to run a specific challenge for traction at the start of the year. So I think we maybe had, 30 to 40 members sign up specifically for that challenge. And we paired each of those members with a coach, and each of those members picked one of the 5 factors of health. So eat, sleep, train, think, or connect. They picked one of those 5 factors and picked something they would like to see change in one of those factors. And then the coach worked with them to develop 3 to 5 daily habits that would help them make progress towards that. And they consistently checked in with them. So it's super cool. It just provides great communication and accountability from coach to member. But beyond that, it helps, like you said, the member know that they're not alone. The coach is checking in not to like be a bully, but because they believe in them. And so it was cool for a challenge, but as we were doing it, I just started thinking like, man, this needs to be integrated into everything we do. Like this, I need this, like everybody needs this kind of like accountability and interaction. So what we're going to do moving forward is all new members are going to get paired with the traction coach. And then we're going to kind of work backwards from there to try to onboard any other current members who are interested in being a part of it as well. But the mindset around it is just, there's no better way to start your journey strong than to start it this way. So when a member joins the gym, it's, we're going to pair you with the traction coach as well. And that traction coach is going to be in touch weekly. And you guys can be chasing the same goal for 4 years, or you guys can change every month, or however that needs to look. But pairing them with a coach that helps them be equipped, not just go, I want to eat better. Okay, well, what are the actionable, measurable ways that we eat better then? And then working specifically with members to do that. So again, not a complicated process, pretty simple.
Yeah.
It just, takes being able to coach people, and takes people being willing to be vulnerable in setting those goals and having those conversations.
I really like it. It hit me really hard whenever you were like, when you were describing, I need this, you need this, right? Everybody needs this. And it reminded me of Glassman talking about the needs of our Olympic athletes and grandparents differ by degree, not kind. Sure. The needs of our members, and our coaches, and our owners and our community, differ by degree, but not kind. We all need each other, right? And I think that's kind of like we kind of lose that mentality. Right. It just kind of hit me right there. It's like we all need each other. So
I think that's great, because I would say that through traction coaching, I get challenged by other people who are consistent. I see what their consistency earns them, and I'm like, oh, like I'm challenged by that, and in the ways that I need to be more consistent, because if I were more consistent, I would be yielding the same results in my own areas. And so, I mean, your consistency can be a very compelling motivator and a helpful thing for other people. So it doesn't even have to be a selfish, I'm making progress for me. Like, no, like when you make progress through doing things the right way and consistently doing them and consistently showing up, it's empowering to the people around you too. So I think that's cool.
So now that we've talked about kind of like what we do as a gym, yeah, let's pick one of the 5 factors of health,
Okay.
and then let's both give off three things that they can do right now, like small changes that they could take with them from this podcast.
Okay, cool. So basically,
I'll let you pick.
Okay. I'll go with think. So think factor of health is like mentality, not just learning, but like how your perception of the world, how you like process things, your filter, your mindset, those kinds of things. So I would say vision, if the vision is I want to think better, I want to enhance my mindset or fortify my mindset or get rid of my victim mentality or whatever. That's the vision. Okay. Great goal, great vision. Traction is distilled daily habits to do so. So I would say the first, and this sounds like it's in the wrong category, but I would say the first daily habit to take charge of how you think is to wake up an hour and a half before you have to be anywhere. Because if you wake up and stumble into the day, you're already waking up into anxiety. If you hit the snooze button 100 times, you're already tripping into the very first thing in the day, which has you tripping into the next thing. So that sounds like sleep hygiene and like the sleep factor, but it's really not the sleep factor of health. I think it's a think factor of health from my perspective, because, the cliche phrase, win the morning, win the day. But really being able to wake up and not right away be accessible to the world and accessible to things that need you or accessible to responsibilities or obligations, but really starting the day in control, starting the day with time to be like in solitude or still or just quiet, or to meditate or do like any of the healthy mental practices or whatever. Cool. But I would just say like wake up an hour and a half before you have to be anywhere. So that way you are not tripping into the day and a victim or, you're not a casualty to your circumstances at that point.
Yeah. No,
that
makes sense. So up hour and a half and you're starting your day before anybody else needs you so that you actually have that morning to
that's
yourself.
as simple as it is. Start the day before you're needed,
Yep.
So yeah. And that's measurable. So at the end of the day, I can check that off. Did I or didn't I?
So yeah, and I'm sorry, and that was something good to kind of bring up is each of these tasks need to be measurable. You need to be able to check, like you said, check them off a list or say, I did this, because if you can't measure it, you can't go back and be like, okay, did I do that?
And did it work?
And did it work? Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So
cool.
So one of mine will be connect. So this is actually something I do. And this isn't a bragging thing, but I ask my children to tell me one good thing that happened today. It's a measurable. Did I ask them? Right? Did I ask them? Tell me one good thing that happened today. What happens from that when you're connecting? You're asking them a question about themselves, and in the beginning, it kind of becomes like, I ate lunch today, or I played on the playground, right?
Yeah.
And where it can turn into and blossom to, I made a new friend today. Awesome. What's your new friend's name? Or, Dad, I finally figured out my 7 factors for multiplication. It took me forever and we've been trying. Like it genuinely is inquiring in your family, right? So I'm talking family first right now, is asking somebody who's in your immediate family, who lives in your house, ask them every single day, tell me one good thing that happened today. Because it will spawn everything else. Yeah.
Genuine conversations and listening and responding, because offering a true response because you were actually listening.
Exactly. You're not listening to speak, right? You're just actually listening and then responding to that.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's good. So another factor for think.
Yep.
Okay. So
Or,
another
or it could
daily.
be another, or it could be a different factor. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'll just stick with think. I'll give all three for think.
Okay.
So I would say a gratitude journal. So in terms of, changing mindset, writing down three things in the morning and three things at night. So start and end the day. I'm grateful for these three things, and I'm grateful for these three things, starting at the beginning and the end of the day, which again, so simple, almost seems like elementary and childish in a way, but so valuable. Because it doesn't matter what day you're about to have or the day you did just have that you're about to end. If you force yourself to write three things you're grateful for, you can always find them. And you could be telling yourself the story because you're dreading the day ahead, or because you're ending a day that was hard. You can tell yourself the story that nothing is good until you force yourself to write three things that are. And you can always find them, and they can be so simple. You don't have to dig into this super, deep well of I'm, grateful for the most dramatic things. Like, it can be simple things. That's healthy too. So, and again, that's measurable. So at the end of the day, did I list three in the morning, and did I list three at night? And then now we'll get into that part later. So yeah, that's the second is, so the first is wake up before you're needed to have that time. Second is gratitude list, 3 in the morning, 3 at night.
Okay. All right. Second one. And I'm going to say with connect here, because I'm all about connecting with people. You know me. I'm a genuine like make people happy. So this is going to go with that.
Okay.
Smile at somebody who has a frown. Now, this sounds very cliche because it's like, oh, cool, I'm just going to smile at somebody. I want you to genuinely, and this is genuine, did you smile at somebody that has a frown? Now, guess what? That could be yourself. You could look at yourself in the mirror. Well, so I'm going to kind of, this is going to, I'm not getting deep here. I'm not going to get too deep, but like every time I go to the bathroom, I make faces at myself in the mirror to genuinely show myself that not everything in life is serious, and to never take myself too seriously. And these are philisms that nobody ever gets to see, right? And so
I hope not.
I'm genuinely washing my hands, and my head comes up to look in the mirror.
People are going, okay, if anybody listens to this, they're never going to be able to unsee that now, that image, that visual in their head.
That I'm washing my hands.
I'm not going to.
Head comes up and I make faces at myself. But
I'm going to try it.
I'm 100% dead serious. Like, genuinely, you will put a smile on your own face. And so what genuinely happens if you share a smile with somebody else, that is contagious. They will then share it with somebody else. You have connected with somebody on a very surface level, but now that spreads to somebody else, and then it spreads to somebody else, and then spreads to somebody else. And that's the whole point of connecting, right? Is sharing something with somebody on sometimes even a very surface level thing. So sure.
Well, and when I think about when we talk about like the purpose of connection and in environments and stuff, like one of the things we would want to measure is like, what does your presence do in a room? And we all know what it feels like to walk into a room where there is like a miserable person present, right? Like someone who refuses to list the three things they're grateful for in the morning and night. Like we know what that feels like to walk into that room and the environment be affected or infected by that kind of mentality or attitude. And I would imagine one of the most effective ways to not combat that in a negative way, but provide a solution to that is don't join in. Like, be the opposite. And so smile at the frown, So I think that's cool. And it is measurable. Like, that is something you can actually say, did I do that today or not?
Yep.
Cool.
Okay. Last one for you.
Okay. I go, let's see. I would say probably, I'm just going to stick with the think one. I'm trying to simplify some of the stuff. Yeah, I think that it's hard because it's not the same thing as a gratitude list or gratitude journal at all. But I would say that something along the lines of like writing out your thoughts every single day has a lot of value. And so I'll just say expressing your intentions. Okay. So starting the day again. And so like when I'm like nailing it and I'm gaining traction and doing it well, like I will start the day with that list of the 3 things I'm grateful for, but we'll also start the day with 1, 2, 3 things that I intend to do, not task wise, but the type of person I intend to be. So whether that be like, be patient and be kind, or whether it's, that could be where I would even write what you're talking about, like, smiling at the frown or whatever. But like genuinely setting an intent for the day so that I'm going into everything I face that day with a very clear picture of how I want to respond to it or react to it. So yeah, I would say it's more journaling in that way. So, but it's journaling your intentions. So starting every single day, clearly expressing, and I mean simply, like in a sentence, or not even a full sentence, just in a single statement or word, like your intent for the day.
Your intent for the day.
Yeah.
Okay. Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. That's what that reminded me of what you just said, right? Like if you believe it, right, you're writing it down, which then will turn into your thought. And literally that thought in your head is turning into, on paper, words, right? If you write it down enough, you're going to perform that action.
Right.
You do that enough.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's like the statistic about writing down your goals. I think you're 42, I think this is accurate. You're 42% more likely to achieve a goal if you write it down. So you're 42. I mean, if you just translate that, you're 42% more likely to maintain the right mentality or the right character if you write it down, what you intend to be or who you intend to be or how you intend to think. So it's like this hack of like holding yourself accountable, or like almost like installing this like mindset for the day. Like I'm installing patience before I start the day. And so I think it has a ton of value, like more than we choose to recognize, to write that down.
Yeah, no. And 60% of stats are made up. So
right.
I'm just kidding. When you said 42%, that to you, I was like, but it's probably right. I'm just giving you a hard time. So, all right. So we're on my last one. I'm not going to do connect just because I want to give the people something just juicy on this last one. This is going to be easy.
Perfect.
And this is eat. This is sometimes for some people, this is super easy. For some people, this is hard, right?
Yeah.
I have ridden a wave on my eating and different things because I do various different sports. I do sports where we have to eat a lot of food, and then I have some sports that we don't eat a lot of food, and it's just it's the way that our minds are molded and stuff, and all these negative self-talk and everything that you've grown up with and everything that it goes with. And so one thing that I could give everybody is eating one meal, right? One good meal a day. And now, whether that is breakfast, lunch, dinner, a snack, it could be a healthy snack, but it needs to be a good balanced meal. If you want to know what that is, maybe we could post something like what a good meal looks like.
Yeah, because right? I think that's great.
For everybody.
But how's that measurable?
So measurable would be like, does it contain, is it a fruit or veggie? And maybe that's it. You need to eat a fruit or a veggie once a day.
Yeah, I think that's great.
There we go. That's
Yeah.
and that's a healthy,
Mhm.
right? It's got to be a fruit
Yeah.
or veggie. And so,
Right.
did I eat at least one fruit or veggie today? What typically
Hmm.
happens is that starts a chain, right? Like, I know for myself, it always did. It was like, okay, if I eat this one meal, right? If I eat this Greek yogurt with, some blueberries, all right, cool. I've eaten it every day, right? Then the next week I
Right.
add in another meal and I add some more vegetables, right, into
Hmm.
my diet and stuff. And so I gain that traction slowly. That
Yeah.
vertical pressure is getting put on the back of that
Hmm.
fastback Mustang so that it can just rip and roar through the Smoky Mountains. Um,
Yeah.
and so that would be
Yeah.
it, right? Eat at least one
Yeah.
fruit or veggie a day,
Yeah.
regardless of the day, regardless of what you've eaten all day long. If you need to walk to the freaking refrigerator and grab a piece of celery and just take a bite out of crumb, do it.
Yeah. I think that's, yeah. And I think as you were talking about that, what I started to think about was the necessity to realize that what is difficult for you may not be difficult for somebody else, and what's easy for you may not be easy for somebody else. And so the necessity of like traction is to like don't pick things that are easy, because
Yeah.
if they're easy, you have already likely gained or yielded the results from those habits. You have
Yep.
to pick things that are challenging in order to make progress. So if it's easy for you to go to the gym 3 days a week, but you want more progress regarding your performance or physique or fitness or whatever, well, you've already gotten the results you're going to get from 3 days a week. Of course, we could maybe tweak some things about what are you doing in those 3 days, or there's some ways we could adjust that. But like in reality, it's recognizing that, well, the 3 days is easy for you. You've gained what you're going to gain from that. So it's the adding 2 more days that's the challenge. Whereas 3 days a week for somebody else could be like a huge
Hurdle already in
undertaking,
itself.
right?
Yep.
And that person that accomplishes the 3 days a week, but is really challenged to do so, is going to start to see results and gain progress in new ways, because they're doing what is difficult for them that they've not done before. So I think whenever we have this conversation, it's just necessary to be like, well, they do have to be challenging, but they have to be relatively challenging, which is like what we do, right? Like relative intensity is the goal with these traction
Yep.
habits. So I just think that's important to recognize as well.
Well, it goes along with the car, right? You can't gain traction without vertical pressure. You have to have vertical pressure pushing down for you to
Right.
gain traction. There has to
Right.
be enough torque, right? Turning
Mhm.
the wheels, and that it pulls pressure on everything. And so I think
Yeah.
that's, talking about what you're talking about.
Right.
There has to be pressure. If there's no
If there's no
pressure and
right,
it's light,
right. If
you're
there's
going
no
to spin
challenge,
out.
there's no pressure. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So I
So,
think, yeah, it's picking those traction habits, those daily habits that are like genuinely, they do put pressure on you. They're a challenge, and that challenge is what creates the pressure that leads to progress. So I think it's good. But I mean, and again, it's just such a simple concept. So eat 3 quick things. Eat a vegetable every single day. If you drink 1 soda a day, drink 0. If you drink 2 sodas a day, drink 1. Like drink 1 less soda a day. Is that measurable? Yes. Check it off.
or drink 1 bottle of water a day.
Yeah.
Right?
Or drink, set an ounce goal of water. Drink 68 ounces of water every single day. Did I do it or did I not? Check. Let's do that for 4 weeks. Let's revisit where we're at. Let's increase the relative difficulty of those maybe after 4 weeks, or let's reassess if we need to, but let's check those off every single day for 4 weeks and be shocked by where we end up. Would be the goal. Because the thing is, it is 3 habits connected to one goal, but it's okay to be doing multiple things at the same time. So these are my 3 targets. These are my 3 daily habits that are very actionable and accomplishable, achievable for eat, while I am simultaneously doing these 3 habits that are very achievable for train. So I am going to the gym every single day. Check. I am moving or elevating my heart rate for 30 more minutes outside of the gym every single day. Check. I am doing 5 minutes of whatever. Check. So you're doing these very achievable, distilled into daily habits things for each factor at the same time. And it is just the amount of traction you gain. Like you're not just now moving in the snow. Like you are just, like you said, roaring through it.
You're plowing.
It's cool to see that happens. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think these are good.
So
these are
traction.
good takeaways for this traction episode. Are there any ways people can find out more about traction on the website?
We have got, there's a blog about it if they go to the MCF Journal.
Okay.
And then we'll put something in there that where members can sign up and such as we continue to build that program.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.